Here goes, here goes, here goes. Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. Yeah, Yat is a great. I really like Yat. I mean, it basically functions like a link tree. You can either have it point to a domain that you own, or you can use it like a link tree. But for those who aren't aware, it's built on emojis, and you can actually mint your Yat as an NFT and sell it if you want. So my Yat is Peace Love Clown, and yeah, I try to keep it relatively up to date. Which Yat did you get, Jesus? Nice. Cool. Sounds great. Yeah, the clacker. Or is that what it's called? I don't know what it's called actually. Yeah, makes sense. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm gonna dive into the podcast. Let's get into the information. I'm preparing myself to speak for 40 minutes straight, but I'll try to be brief, try to be concise, try to be direct with everyone. So let's get started. Good morning, my friends. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the show. All my VeeFriends, wannabes, and otherwise. This is the weekly VCap. We missed last week. We're back. This show is recorded every week at 5 p.m. Eastern Time in the Let's VeeFriends Clubhouse. And with 2 weeks to recap, there are so many little hints, big topics to address, like a VCon speakers list, multiple brand collaborations, and some announcements in the Gary V world, as well as the NFT space on the whole is sort of coming to life. Projects that have been nurturing their roots are starting to sprout and grow, whether it's Mutant Ape Yacht Club or Gutter Cats or even VeeFriends is seeing a relative 15% increase in the floor price. And across the board, we're seeing a lot more volume, and gas sort of agreeing with that. Largely that had to do with the SOS airdrop, which went to those who interacted with the OpenSea platform. I'm going to talk about that. Version 2 VeeFriends, book games, and the fact that you need to verify the tokens you're receiving no later than December 31st. Otherwise, you can miss out. And VCon as well has some updates. So I'm going to cover as much as I possibly can, be concise and direct with you, and hopefully help you hopefully relieve any bit of fear, uncertainty, or doubt or FOMO in the VeeFriends space, because you can just come to this podcast every week and get a recap, a VCap. Okay. With that being said, let's get into the show. Big breath. Okay. So there was a lot of little things that happened over the last couple weeks. Gary was doing NFT giveaways on Twitter and in Discord. He gave away a Go token on Christmas. He was sweeping floors over the holidays, shared the Shaq Gives Back NFT project. He even bought a CryptoPunk for $500,000, CryptoPunk 6633. Among other things, we've also confirmed that both Tea with Gary Vee and the Ask Gary Vee show are coming back soon. So the consistency of content that we've been getting from Gary Vee, or we expected pre-pandemic, seems to be rolling out soon. And I'm looking forward to that. I've been saying for months that there must be some massive VeeFriends documentary in the works that we are going to see sooner or later, whether that debuts at VCon or afterward. It's anybody's guess. But as Gary has started to release more and more short films on the Secret Wine Party, another weekly V for the first time in a long time. It seems like Gary is very bullish on sort of going back to those content pillars and providing direct value. Remember, while Gary's been very clear, especially in recent AMAs, that it is his number one priority to build this VeeFriends IP for the next 45 years. He's also spoken about a counter execution for all those who are not holding VeeFriend 1 tokens and delivering value to his wider community. One of those being VeeFriends version 2, which we're going to get into. But there was an even cheaper access to the VeeFriends IP, not in NFT form, but in the form of trading cards. So on December 16th, Gary presented a collaboration with Mattel Creations. Not saying exactly what it was, but suggesting that the legacy toy company teaming up with VeeFriends was going to be a big deal. It was revealed the next day that it was a VeeFriends branded Uno deck with very specific pairings of characters. Am I gonna remember them off the top of my head? Let's see. There's a draw 5. Oh shoot, I didn't call it up. I don't have the characters off the top of my head. Isn't this what you really come to the podcast for? For me, like fumbling and figuring out what I'm going to say, not hitting stop on the recording, but rather just accepting that sometimes we have to riff until we can navigate on our browser and get to the announcement of the Uno deck. So here it is. There's some clever pairings in here. There's the sharing squirrel, which is a new invention where if you play the sharing squirrel, the next player has to post when you take can you tell it's been 2 weeks since I've recorded this podcast? Okay. Focusing in. There are special edition gameplay cards. The sharing squirrel is where you take a selfie with all the cards in your hand and you have to post it on social media with the hashtag VeeFriendsUno. So that's sort of like a content play, and also maybe not the best card to have in your hand because you have to reveal. But like draw 4 dinosaur, draw 2 emu, reverse robin, skip tick, draw 5 giraffe, and wild wallaby are the specialty cards. There are 17 characters featured in it, and it was sold for $25 plus shipping in batches up to 10. And one of the things that got people most excited about this is, in addition to being the first VeeFriends cards, there's collectible cards within the collection as well. So one of each of those 17 characters have a spectacular print, of which every pack is holding one. And they're divvied up into 4 tiers of rarity. The bottom tier, 5 characters, the tier 3, 6 characters, tier 2, 5 characters, and in the most rare tier is just a single character, the Gary B Spectacular. And in the announcement, Gary was very excited, not only this being the first trading card, but wanting to see people send their cards off to be graded by PSA and other card graders and resold on eBay, thinking there's an arbitrage there. So that drove a lot of demand. They sold out within an hour, and then we're reselling on eBay for anywhere from $125 up to $300 per $25 pack immediately. A couple things about this. Gary shared that he did not personally buy any of the cards, and they sold out before he was able to. So probably one of the big buyers on the secondary market will be Gary himself. And also, being that it's a corporate agreement with Mattel, they are not releasing the amount of packs that were manufactured. But this is a one-time only thing, limited supply. If you got it, you got it. If you didn't, the secondary market is yours. There's no opportunity in the Uno decks to get a VeeFriend 1 character, but there are going to be other trading cards coming to the VeeFriends IP, and Gary said that would be soon. The following day, they did a surprise collaboration with Anwar Carrots, who is a streetwear apparel designer born in New Jersey, operating out of Los Angeles. This is a great little short film with the two of them at the LA VaynerMedia office, and they released a t-shirt and a hoodie, like a cool sort of like royal blue hoodie. Not gonna lie, it was kind of a shit show because I think Nordstrom didn't really understand what they were dealing with. I personally went to Nordstrom to pick it up in person. I wanted that sort of romantic experience of seeing something VeeFriends branded on the rack, but it turned out they didn't time the sale in store or online. So by the time the 12 p.m. Launch hit on that day, the Nordstrom website was already completely sold out, and in person they had the product on the shelves the previous day, and there was only one t-shirt available at the store I went to in New York City. So I know a lot of people were disappointed, but at the same time, there is this is another way, although maybe not intentional, that paying attention in the VeeFriends Discord server gives you an outsized advantage in participating in the VeeFriends project, because this was posted the night before on Instagram, and had you just searched VeeFriends on the Nordstrom website where it was announced the collaboration would be, you would have found that product page. So just a little push. I know not everybody has time to spend all day in Discord, but it's a good place to hang out, ask questions and get answers, and otherwise stay plugged in, because as we move forward, we're going to see with book games and version 2, more and more alpha being dropped in that VeeFriends Discord. And I'll do my best to provide it to you here, but I just want to put it out there. Gary did confirm on the note of Discord activity that leveling systems in the Discord do not have any planned benefit. Right now, it's maybe more of a vanity metric. There are some unlockable permissions that you can get in the Discord for commenting in server and leveling up, but certainly the 100 level prize is not going to be a VeeFriend. And Gary said that there's not currently a plan for rewarding people who have achieved high levels in server. Okay, moving forward into VeeCon, just a couple things here. Gary confirmed today that there will be a wine tasting type of event at VeeCon. He's previously confirmed Empathy Wines will be there, so I imagine those will be correlated. And there's also going to be a garage sale / card corner area. So that, along with his all day long selfie booth where he's going to be signing and hugging and shaking hands and taking selfies, that's basically the extent of what we know will be at VeeCon, outside of the speakers. So we got a huge announcement with speakers on the 20th, more than a week ago now. So on May 19th to the 22nd at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota, there's a huge set of names that were released. And I think there's a lot of expected names here in the likes of Tom Bilyeu, who's on the Vayner speakers list. A lot of artists that Gary has been supportive of in the NFT space, like Sarah Bauman of Women in Weapons, Danny Cole of Creature World, Mumbot, old homies of his like Kevin Rose. But there's some that really surprised me here, like the writer-director Kevin Smith and Deepak Chopra of the Chopra Foundation and the sort of mindfulness guru. And a few musical artists were also debuted, and all of these artists we've seen on the Monday to Monday playlist. So it does really feel like a family event in this way. Like a lot of people in Gary's inner circle. Like some more highlights are Beeple, Charlie D'Amelio, and Dixie D'Amelio, Jesse Itzler. There's still a lot more people. I have to do my homework and figure out who a lot of these people are, but you can see all of these names on an image on the VeeFriends Instagram. But the better view, if you want to really get to know who these people are, because they're not going to be, you won't be able to see everybody speak, right? There will be simultaneous stages. At vcon.co, the website for VCon, there's a nice interactive website with images and information about every speaker, from Banks, Jaden Stipp, Bex, Isaac Wright. All these people are listed here with the little bio. Subjectively, I think it's really aesthetic and nice, and it makes me feel like I can actually get to know these people beyond a name. So super interesting to see what artwork or projects they're affiliated with and what have you. So go ahead and check that out. This list that we received, I didn't count it, but it looks like maybe 30 speakers, comprises less than a quarter of the overall lineup. So Gary said this is less than 25% of the people who are speaking at VCon. So a lot more to look forward to in that regard. Last couple things on VCon. There will not be any virtual access. This has been repeated a few times. So FYI, if you can't make it to VCon, you won't be able to stream it, but there is going to be a mechanism for you to sell your access. And we haven't gotten the details about how this is going to work, but the latest is that it's coming soon. It's in development. It's almost done and should debut in Q1 of 2022. So my top speculation about how this is going to work is either they are going to do some kind of NFT version where you can, you get a like almost like a mutant serum drop. You get an airdrop of your VCon access, and then that makes it very simply to open sell on the market, and there can be a verified collection so everybody knows they're getting the right token. If they do go that route, please make sure you're watching for announcements in the Discord, because it may be announced ahead of time and you don't want to find yourself buying a fake ticket. But still, the mechanisms on how they would verify ownership at the door, or if you RSVP, or what that would look like, sound like a headache to me and haven't been revealed. The alternative system, which I'm leaning toward right now, is the way that Flyfish Club, which is a project we discussed briefly, I'll mention it now. Flyfish Club is the first NFT and restaurant offering from the VCR group, which is a restaurant group that Gary Vee is a founder in, with Chef Capone and Rodolitz. Forgetting his first name right now. But VCR, Vaynerchuk, Capone, and Rodolitz. This Flyfish Club is going to open in 2023, and the only way to get access to it is to hold their NFT. If you're interested in that, the Discord for that is opening on January 3rd, ahead of the public sale on January 11th. There was a private sale a couple weeks ago on December 15th, which sold out, and the remaining tokens will sell on January 11th. The price of that is still TBA. But the only way to get into that restaurant is with that token, and then you can make a reservation and bring whoever you want with you. But on the website, it says that there is a leasing contract that would allow token owners to set a price and a lease term for someone to actually rent their token, temporarily own it, and once they've finished using it, the token, in this case, the Flyfish Club membership, through the smart contract would be sent back to the original owner. So it stands to reason that because the dev team overlaps between Flyfish Club and VeeFriends, that they would use this same leasing contract to not have to sell your VeeFriend token, but actually lease its ownership to someone who wants to use the VCon access. And then once VCon is over, it would be automatically sent back to the owner's wallet. A little bit of speculation there, but just know that VCon access is going to have a market. And if you hold your tokens in the next, I think, 6 to 8 weeks, we'll hear about the details and mechanics of how that's going to work. Okay. Moving forward into book games. This is a big topic of conversation. We got multiple announcements about it, and there are certain things, being that it is currently December 29th, that you need to be aware of if you're expecting these book NFTs. So I'm going to cover the time-sensitive thing, the announcement of IMX, and then we'll go into some of the hints and some of my own speculation. So they've released a book checker, and it's very, very simple. You go to VeeFriends.com/book-checker, connect your wallet, and you will be able to verify the number of tokens that your wallet is receiving. And if that number is inaccurate, there's a green troubleshoot button where you'll be able to fill out a form with all the information, proof of receipt, wallet address, and whatnot, and they will change the amount for you. The other reason you might fill out the troubleshooting form is if you want your tokens now sent to a different address than you originally signed up for. I know there's been a lot of questions about when will I get a response from the troubleshooting form. And as a moderator, I can tell you that the team is working as fast as they can to get back to everyone. The website is being updated as they go. And it's most important that you fill out your troubleshoot form before the 31st. And they will make sure it gets taken care of before the launch of the tokens on January 10th. Could be a day or two earlier, but January 10th is the latest the tokens will airdrop. But you won't be able to fill out the troubleshooting form in the new year. So really just make sure you handle that. You're still going to be eligible for your token drop if you don't do the book checker, but you won't have an opportunity to change if the amount is wrong. So FYI, please be aware. So speaking of the airdrop, all of these tokens are going to launch on Immutable X. And this is something I've shared with you for weeks, but we got an official announcement from VeeFriends and a bit of a 101 about what is a layer 2 solution and how does it work and why it might be a benefit for this. So on a practical notion, with a supply of 125,000, it's simply practical for them to save on that gas and in the airdrop of all these tokens to however many tens of thousands of holders there will be. But for the consumer side, that means no gas fees for buying or listing or trading or transferring of any kind, so long as they remain on the layer 2. You will be able to port your tokens onto layer 1 and sell them on OpenSea, but there's a big red flag here. And I'm having trouble seeing the value proposition of doing that, because if the tokens are moved to layer 1, they can no longer be played in the games. So all of the details of what the game is has yet to be revealed. And today, even, Gary was coy about confirming whether or not the details of the game will be released before the tokens are released. As far as I can tell, because burning has been confirmed again and again, gameplay in book games really just means burning your tokens. And the big question remains, why would we burn the tokens? So let me dive into some, and again, that'll be a gas-free transaction because it's on IMX. But if you port onto OpenSea, that's a one-way street. You can't port it back and then burn it. So effectively, the way that tokens are burnt from the game supply, I guess there's two buckets of supply, right? There's the existing tokens that could be on layer 1 or layer 2, but the tokens that are eligible to be played are only on layer, I'm sorry, I think I misspoke. Going back, you can port to layer 1, but it's a one-way street. There's not currently an authorized function to port back to layer 2. And the marketplace will happen on tokentrove.com, layer 2, but the burning will happen on VeeFriends.com, and only layer 2 tokens can be burnt. So if you move onto OpenSea, you're actually removing it from gameplay, maybe forever, or at least until there is a authorized solution to port back, which there won't be next week when the tokens release. So a few things that Gary has said about book games in the last couple of weeks that are interesting. So he said book games are tricky because it can accomplish a lot and that there are a lot of different tokens. And in the same Q&A, he said book games will get some into VCon 2022. He said, depends on luck, but someone might have bought one Book Games token, aka 12 books, and could miraculously find themselves holding a V1. Oh my God. He said there will be massive book burning and book game tokens burning. That is. So clearly, like that's amazing. Somebody could have spent $360 and find themselves with a $30,000 to $40,000 token. Okay. But what about for the rest of the people who don't get these lucky tokens? And only in the last day have I been starting to wonder if there's going to be a VCon access in the game. That, like today, Gary was asked how many version 1 VeeFriends will be available through the book games, and he said he doesn't know yet. And when I first read those comments about somebody could miraculously find themselves with version 1 and him previously saying book games will get some into VCon, well, I considered those as one opportunity, that some may find themselves going to VCon because they're getting a V1. But then I remembered that Gary can change his mind and add to the utility of this project however and whenever he wants. And there's nothing stopping him from, because I keep racking my mind about what is going to be so valuable. Like, what is the carrot on the stick that distracts people to quote unquote paper hand and burn their tokens too early, not hold them for the future of the games, because games are meant to be played forever. And obviously, like, if there's a token that immediately becomes a V1, it kind of stands to reason that you can maybe burn for a V1, and how many tokens you have to burn. I feel like it would be hundreds, right? Like for the big whales who are playing, but there has to be something also for the smaller fish, like people who have 1, 2, 5, 10 tokens. What is going to be the value proposition for them? And I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if, especially as they're talking more about VCon access being sellable, if they're open to people going to VCon that don't have tokens, and that is like a big offering that encourages a lot of people who would otherwise buy a VeeFriend to go to VCon. Now they can buy book game tokens, which would be less, but what price that's set at, how many tokens that would be, and if that's even a possibility is all speculation on my part. But I found it very, very interesting. And the thing that really put it together for me was a post that I made on Instagram yesterday, where VeeFriends actually provided me with this content, a texting conversation with VeeFriends. Some of you may have seen it. It's it's a fake texting conversation, but it's texting back and forth, answering some basic questions. What is book games? It's on layer 2, yada, yada, yada. And then one of the last pieces was, and Gary has even said that it will get some people to VCon, but it didn't say it will get some people version 1. And so I don't know. I'm going on a rant here of my own speculation, but the point being, gameplay is going to be burning tokens. I feel very sure about that. What I'm not sure about is what the benefits are. Are you going to burn tokens to get a higher rarity? Is it what is it? What is it that is going to like encourage the burning of the supply? Because over time, that's going to be like the big benefit of holding, is you're going to have this asset that is more and more scarce as people burn. Okay, moving on. There's one more aspect of book games that leads us into version 2, which a lot of people are looking forward to. And that is, Gary has suggested it's going to be very hard to get a version 2 if you don't have a VeeFriend 1 or a book game token. And he's talked about this in a couple different vague ways, basically saying that you might have a book key that could get you a free version 2 or a mint pass for version 2. And he's also said that holding book games at the right time, not burning them, but holding them at the right time, could give you an advantage in getting version 2. As a reminder for everybody, version 2 is a high supply, low cost entry into the VeeFriends IP. It does not have utility, no access to VCon, but it does seem like Gary's doing something special. There's going to be some kind of surprise. Maybe it's not in the utility category, but there will be something about V2 that I think is special and new that will drive demand. We were expecting it Q1 of 2022, but in the last week, Gary has said it'll be middle Q1. Craniac said that it won't drop in January. And most recently, Gary said that he's thinking more and more about April as a release date. So it seems like February to April is the range. We might see V2. it will cost $1,000 or less in Ethereum. So it will be layer 1, unlike book games on layer 2. Version 2 will be layer 1. We also confirmed this week that you can purchase multiple at mint. That you won't be able to buy in credit cards, and there's no whitelist. They're working on concepts, in Gary's words. But if you have a VeeFriend 1, you're going to have a huge advantage. You're going to have a separate kind of advantage if you have a book game token. And he gave a range. He was asked on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard will it be for VeeFriend virgins, people who aren't holding either of those collections, to mint a version 2? And he said 6 to 7. So it's going to be harder than not, relatively difficult to mint a version 2 if you don't have book games. So what does that mean for you? If you're listening to this and you don't, watch book games. It's anybody's guess what the floor on that is going to be. Obviously, the market is going to set that, and people are going to be very bullish on those tokens, but there will also be plenty of people who just want their liquidity back. So I would be paying attention to that market if you're saving up and stacking to get into VeeFriends version 2. Okay. Honestly, that's the bulk of it. I'm going to do my best to keep this podcast under 30 minutes. So here we go. A couple of hints from Gary that were interesting. He was asked if there's going to be further utility for cores versus very rares, and he said no, flat out. So I don't know if this changed over time as the price of VeeFriends skyrocketed, or if rarity was always a long-term play for Gary and there wasn't meant to be utility but simple collectability. But he said there's no utility for the different rarities. And today in the spectacular chat, he told them you will win the most always. So this is a little confusing. Like there's not a practical, like identifiable benefit in having different rarities, but your token is objectively more rare. And with these being collectibles, that matters. Spectaculars are 1 of 1, cores are 1 of 20, and that will matter in the long tail. In the same way that he has said 5s and signatures and hearts will matter in the long tail. But right now, it seems like that's going to be an artistic thing, a collectability thing, and not a utility thing. But remember, at the same time, Gary is in control, and he has said to the gift goats, if ever he sees the market and there's something that he doesn't like, he can add utility, he can make a change because he is the central bank and he controls the project. So interesting to get a clear answer on that, but I think that's going to be a long-term play for rarity. On the note of Candy Digital, someone asked, when will we hear about the role of Candy Digital in the VeeFriends universe? And Gary said it's a subtle little thing you'll see in 2022. And he previously said that there would be some connection to VeeFriends 2 with these Candy Digital Sweet Futures tokens, and also said that it was years away. But now it's a subtle thing in 2022. So no real clarity on that, but it seems like a tiny snowball. We might get some details, but Candy Digital's also been quiet recently as they've released a new roadmap and are building up to the release of their own internal marketplace. So FYI, if you're waiting for the Candy Digital or if you're buying Candy Digital NFTs to have an advantage, I don't know that it's quite so serious. Seems like there's a better advantage in buying book game tokens for V2 than Candy Digital tokens, which makes sense personally. On the note of the first Gift Goat NFT, the Gift Goat Enters the Creature World, Gary hinted that there may be a future utility. He was asked what the utility is, and he said there is none yet, which is kind of interesting. Wonder what that will be. And then 2 fun things to sort of round off the VeeFriends news. Right Click Give, which is a large charitable organization, received a Core Go Gracious Grasshopper from Gary, and it's sold for 15.5 wrapped Ethereum, which is about where the Go floor is right now. But that was a fun moment in VeeFriends, and more dramatic in a recent podcast that was taken from a online 4Ds, a digital deep dive with Gary. He was telling that group that a large hedge fund offered him a substantial amount of money to purchase 10% of the VeeFriends IP. And you just have to listen to it. It's like, it's so interesting to hear him talk about this. He ultimately said that he didn't take the deal because he just doesn't like it. He doesn't like it came up because someone was asking about when should you take on partners and sell equity in your company, and he said never if you can help it. And he told this story that has AJ, his brother, like super jazzed that this would be so amazing, would provide a bunch of capital to VeeFriends, access, I guess, to whatever that hedge fund can open doors for. But he just doesn't like it. And he went so far as to not even reply to the email offering from that hedge fund. So if you thought Gary Vee was bullish on VeeFriends and himself, you're still underestimating it big time. So that's the VeeFriends news. I'm going to make just a brief comment about the airdrops going on in the space, and then we'll wrap it up. Wow, 30 minutes of quite a lot. I took a break in the recording. Hope everybody's enjoying. I'm going to just jump back in. So I just wanted to quickly address these two things, as I'm sure you're seeing them in the space. And I have not personally reviewed the contract to know that SOS or gas token, which are these free airdrops, are safe. But I can tell you, I myself have claimed both of them. And I know people who have claimed and converted them to ETH just fine. I'm personally holding mine. But none of this is financial advice. I just want you to know, if you're seeing SOS or gas on Twitter, yes, there's nothing in the contract that would suggest it's a honeypot or a malicious contract that is sort of attracting you as free money only to compromise your wallet. It's perfectly safe to claim. The stability of these coins and whether or not they have a long-term future is a whole other kind of conversation. But I wanted to just clarify two things for you. Number one, as far as Twitter can tell, and I'm following tweets from people who are actual developers and who can read these codes and who have published threads on why and how these are safe to claim. Both SOS and gas token are safe to claim and trade. That's fine. There's a little speculation that certainly gas token is like a very low effort offering. And at the end of the day, the developers might be getting the most benefit from these drops as people bring liquidity into that market and, at a moment's notice could dump. So please be very careful. Like, certainly gas is a token I wouldn't, although this is not financial advice, I wouldn't recommend buying into because there's not a lot of legs on it right now. But I do want to clarify that it's safe. On the same token, both of these airdrops, should you claim them, are considered ordinary income for your taxes. And I've done multiple podcasts and videos on taxes recently, specifically relative to the United States, because that's where I know the best, although I'm no tax expert. But I just want people to be aware that for most jurisdictions, these airdrops are considered ordinary income. So if you claim $1,000 worth of SOS, it's not $1,000 free money. It's $1,000 minus your percentage tax bracket. So if it's 20 or 30%, then you're getting $700, right, at 30%. And the reason that you need to be careful and aware of these things is, if, let's say, you claim your SOS token and it's worth $1,000, your tax rate is 30%. You set aside $300 for that taxable event, and you're letting the other 700 ride, or maybe you're letting it all ride and you're planning to pay the taxes of that first claim event when you sell it down the road. But if the token tanks and your SOS has gone from being worth $1,000 to now being worth $5, and you sell it, well, you've now realized a loss from your cost base. I can already feel myself getting into the weeds, but your cost base being like the ordinary income that it was valued at when you claimed it, but you still owe taxes on the original event. So just be aware that while it is being talked about as free money is still taxed. And I just don't want anybody to be blindsided by that. If you want more information about the taxes, it's not tax advice, but I did put out some podcasts on it recently, or you can ask me questions. I actually think we might be doing another Twitter space on the topic next week. So with that mouthful out of the way, that's 95% of everything that happened in the space today. I hope this was informative. I hope I was able to point you to something that you otherwise missed over the holidays. I hope everybody's healthy and safe, and finding themselves motivated, otherwise focused, happy, or optimistic going into the new year. This is our last weekly VCAP before 2022. Kind of remarkable. We're still some 8 months into this VeeFriends journey, and it's been quite wild. So I'm just tagging the podcast with a bit of gratitude. Thank you so much for listening. As always, my name is Jeremy. I'm the Heart Trooper number 7. This was a weekly VCAP of the last 2 weeks from December 15th to December 29th in the VeeFriends space on the Jeremy Knows podcast. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Whew. I think we did it.
I think you need a big drink.
Yeah, I need some water.
Water, or a cup of tea or something. A cup of tea always fixes everything. That was awesome. And Jeremy, I just want to take a wee quick opportunity, because I have to go now. I want a wee quick opportunity just to say I'm so appreciative, grateful for everything you do, all the hours you put in, not only to VeeFriends, the VDAO, Not Yet a DAO, all of that. You're absolutely one exceptional human being. I've never met anybody like you. I cannot wait to meet you in person. I feel like you're like my wee brother, although apparently you're taller than me, so that'll be interesting when I meet you. And I just want to thank you for everything you do. I'm in Australia, the other side of the world, and I still feel I'm a part of this community and I'm connected. So I just want to say thank you so much for me and everybody down under. You're an amazing human at what you do, and I am so grateful to have you.
Thanks, Pam. I put a nice smile on my face. I love it. It's a good time.
So I'm just going to say Happy New Year and let you
Happy
go
New
and do
Year.
something else. Happy New Year. We'll have it soon. We'll have it before you. So Happy New Year from Australia.
That's
and
right.
I will hopefully see you in the other room later.
Yeah, at 8 o'clock, right? In 2 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
In 2 hours.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Speak to you later.
See
Bye,
you there.
everybody. Bye.
Bye. So I'm going to post this podcast in just a minute. But I can stick around for about 10 minutes if anybody has any questions on anything in the space. Happy to answer questions. Otherwise, I'm pretty much talked out. Hey, Catherine.
Hey, super quick question. Do you know if the book NFT airdrops are going to go straight to our VeeFriends wallet, or do we have to set up an account on Token Trove?
They will go to the wallet. Did you do the book checker?
Yes.
So they'll go to that wallet, and it is advantageous to go to Token Trove, especially if you're planning to buy any book games tokens, but it's an Ethereum layer, so you don't have to create a new wallet or a new account. As soon as you connect that wallet to Token Trove, it's just automatic.
Okay, great. I just didn't know if that's where the airdrop was going to be to look, or if I needed to look just in my VeeFriends or my normal MetaMask. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I think the tokens will show up on like VeeFriends.com as well, the way that VeeFriends do. But they won't show up on OpenSea. They'll only show up on, like, for sure they'll show up on Token Trove, and I imagine they'll also show up on VeeFriends.com. But like, I don't have any IMX tokens, so I don't know if you'll see them on MetaMask. I would imagine not.
Okay, great, because it'll be brand new. And same thing as what Pamela said. We appreciate all of your hard work, everything you've done throughout the year on all the fronts. You're out there. You're really providing a great deal of value, and just we appreciate everything you do. So
Thanks. Thank you. Appreciate that. Awesome. What else? just writing up the podcast notes for this. So don't be shy. If you don't want to come up, you can DM me a question too. It's fine. What else do we talk about? Other links. Oh, no, I made kind of a cool thing. It's right now it's called the VeeFriends update, and I don't know if folks saw the blog post that I made about book games, but I've sort of I've like created a homepage. I'm really liking this Notion platform. I don't know if anybody's using it, but I should have mentioned in the podcast, but that's okay. I'll do it next time. If you're unsure of what's going on, you should be able to now go to this page and see the latest. I'm trying to keep it up to date. So in my bio link, there's a link to the VeeFriends update, where there's a link to a page on book games and version 2 VeeFriends, and a VeeFriends timeline, which I think is pretty cool. Nothing too crazy, but it's just all the information that we have in one place and some receipts and stuff. So that's what that is. All right. Well, I'm going to end the room now. Podcast is posted. It'll be available in just a few minutes. Say